Hello and welcome. Teaching English conversation can be easy work and easy money for ESL teachers, but not if it's a chore to figure out how to structure the course. Not if you don't feel like you're actually helping the student. Today, I'm going to bring 5 learning theories to your attention that you can use to better structure your classes with teenage students and develop long-term strategies to make your class more fun, meaningful, and effective. Let's get started. Best known for his zone of proximal development, I will encourage English conversation tutors to focus on a lesser-known aspect of the theory. That is, that learning leads development. I believe you'll see why as the video progresses. According to Vygotsky, your teenage students have the ability to think about abstract concepts such as failure or success. Teenagers are also actively discovering their identity and becoming capable of understanding why other people behave the way they do. Structure your activities in such a way as to extract telling information piece by piece over time while making note of anything you deem as formative or telling. Whatever theme you establish in your conversation class, you must remain cognizant of where you want your joint exploration to go. I would suggest that English conversation courses for teenagers should provide students with a chance to better know themselves. What you explore conversationally with your students will provide the direction for their development. For as mentioned, learning leads development. Understanding what ideas and concepts your students are thinking about and what inner struggles they face should provide English conversation tutors with an orientation of what to build upon. For example, you can expect your students to be under significant pressure to be successful academically. Look for materials online which talk about these pressures and have students read along with you. Kohlberg studied how moral reasoning changed within individuals as they grew older. The ability to reason and understand why other people act the way they do fosters empathy for others. But this won't always materialize honestly in philosophical conversations with your teenage students. The reason being that they may still feel pressured to be perceived as a good person by others, simply giving you the answer which they feel you are looking for. This is a strong characteristic within Asian cultures especially. As a result, moving beyond acceptance of societal norms as abstract truth may not be of much interest to your student. So my advice, be cautious. I would advise treading softly with any effort to inspire moral reasoning with regards to the accepted truth of their parents' specific values or practices. I have found that a good way to navigate this dilemma is to ask students to describe their family's values. Then ask the student to state why these values are important to their family and society. You do not have to disagree or criticize an assumption in order to challenge it. This one is interesting. Erickson believed that personalities develop trajectories as people encounter conflicts in their life. The conflicts are either overcome and reinforce positive social traits such as trust, initiative, autonomy, intimacy, or the opposite occurs and personality traits such as mistrust, shame, guilt, and feelings of inferiority play out. What makes this theory so interesting is that it describes each age group as prone to develop social personality traits in largely one of two ways at each stage. It is definitely worth a look. For your teenagers, this means we're back to identity. Ba ba da ba. That's right. Conflict at this stage either leads to building an understanding of who they are and how they fit in with society, or it makes answering, "Who am I?" even more confusing. Don't just use your conversation class to talk about the conflicts that the student has outside of your class. Use your class to challenge your student in a, get ready for it, safe space. Also, become an important figure in their eyes. Feelings of success or failure are extremely formative, and the magnitude of these feelings is largely determined by the visibility of the success or failure. The intimacy and privacy of the tutoring dynamic is a powerful asset in that it shields your students from public embarrassment. But conversely, it is also absent the opportunity for your student to show off to others because you are the only other. The strategy which is key to maintaining the student's desire to show off and feel that their win was a real win, their success, is to facilitate the student's desire to show off to you. And the best way to do that as a tutor is to ooze competence. Be the teacher who is always on time, who seems always prepared, who is well-groomed and is dressed professionally, or smart casual, whatever you want to call it. Egan's theory calls for education to be centered around the development of skills which increase a student's ability to learn. You can expect that your students, especially here in Asia, will have experienced significant exposure to English as a subject prior to working with you, but recognize that their education has been centered around excelling on exams, not on acquiring the language. Any high school age ESL student has likely memorized thousands of English vocabulary words, yet only the exceptional students of English are proficient English communicators. English conversation is very much a skill, and you should probably know by now that your main task in English conversation is getting your students to put together words into sentences. So the strategy here is to work with sentence patterns, but only once something well understood and of interest comes up in conversation. The time for rote memorization should be reserved for their school classrooms. The meaning of a sentence is more than the sum total of each individual word's meaning. Your sessions should consist more of sentence pattern practice than any kind of work explaining vocabulary. Frequently, I will be having a friendly conversation with a student when they will give me either a really poor answer to what I feel was a great question that significant time was spent building background for, or they will give me an exceptional answer that was poorly constructed. In either case, I will stop the conversation, retype my question, and pose the question again to my student. A back and forth often occurs as we build a better, more accurate response. And through analyzing that, we're having conversation, And once that's done, we're usually back to having an even better understanding, often with much more meaning. Saving the best for last. Krashen made the bold claim that only two things are necessary to learn a new language. Number one, comprehensible input. And number two, a low anxiety environment. This is some real food for thought, so if you have to, watch this part twice. You can expect that your student has received the benefit of many hours of class time in which they receive more language input than they produce in output. They have done more reading than actual writing. They have done more listening than actual speaking. Do not conflate their speaking and writing abilities with their listening and reading abilities. Okay? They know more than they're able to show you. Do not get down on them. Do not get down on them. Encourage them. Most of these students, they've been studying English for 10 years. They don't know how to speak by the time they come to your class. Know this, feel this, understand this. So, practically speaking, this is my best advice of the video. Be cool and be concise. Be cool and be concise. Never get upset in class. If things aren't going the way you wanted, then maybe just take an honest look at how you prepare for each lesson. Maybe you are going too fast through the material. Maybe the material is too boring or too difficult. If the kid is really behaving poorly and demonstrates time and time again that they really don't seem to want to be there, then bring that up with the parents. Don't get upset at your student or lose patience. Be cool. Also, be concise. Use your hands and body language to convey meaning as much as possible. And work on avoiding incidental language like, it's like, oh yeah, let's see here. Yeah, sure, why not? Or whatever it is. Basically, any messages unnecessary to convey meaning, try to get good at not producing that. Speak clearly. Be concise. So I hope that you feel encouraged to research these theories on your own with the links I've provided, and empowered to investigate how you can use these intellectual works to make your conversational English classes even better, even more rewarding. Thanks for watching. Good luck.